West Tigers fans, it is time to move on with the season. The Lachlan Galvin era is finished, but we're going to talk about it for one last time, and let's do it at Gus Gould's expense. Join us on another episode of West Tigers Life Podcast. Welcome in, West Tigers fans, to another episode of the West Tigers Life Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Barnett. We are, as you can see, we are not at our beloved Orange Grove Hotel, being the bye week and being Orange Week. We're doing it from home this week on a Tuesday night and seeing all our regulars. So thank you for joining us on a different night. We obviously weren't going to compete with the Origin. We all want to watch the Blues and the Maroons go around tomorrow night, and we're all very excited to get the West Tigers back on Saturday night. Let's get straight into it. I'll go straight to the boys coming in with his bright green headphones there. Look like you're ready to land a plane there, Mr. Thompson, but how are you this evening?
Yeah, g'day Josh, g'day Rob. I'm pretty good. It feels like a little bit of a blast from the past tonight, doesn't it, having us back at home and recording the episodes. So it's going to take a little bit of getting used to again, I think, but obviously it's not a permanent situation, just a temporary one. But yeah, we might have had a bye, but what a bit of a news week we had, eh?
Yeah, when the West Tigers don't play, we still have plenty of things to talk about, which we did with Adele on Sunday night. Mr. Bashara coming in from your place over there. We will be back at the Orange Grove on Saturday looking forward to doing a watch along on Saturday night. But yeah, it was nice to have a bye round, Rob. The players needed it. I think we needed it as well.
Yeah, g'day boys. G'day everyone out there. We certainly needed the bye. It didn't exactly feel like a bye round with all the drama, and kind of chuckled when you said we're going to talk about Lachlan Galvin for one last time. It feels like a Johnny Farnham farewell tour. There's just one more time, about 7 or 8 times in a row. But yeah, there was some quite good stuff that was said last night, which was rather interesting, that I'm looking forward to getting into. But yeah, look, it's almost over. We obviously haven't named Lockie this week in the team, so I think it's we're just about ready to move on, whether it's for better or worse. But that's how it is, and we just have to move on.
That we will do, but some very. Yes, what as you said, plenty of fire happening over the last, not even 24 hours. It was late last night. The Chammas argument happened. So we've got a few clips to play across different media shows to kind of analyze and kind of put hopefully a lid. I mean, he hasn't officially signed yet, so we can't I guess officially put a lid on. But the fact that the West Tigers team list today did say that Lachlan Galvin is left out of the team and won't be named to play at all this week. We all know it's going to happen. But before we get into it, Rob, run us through our friends at iChoice if you're looking for a home loan or a car loan.
Yeah, certainly, Josh. As we say every week, give Jason and his team a call on 9743 0000. They're at the corner of Liverpool Road and the Boulevard at Strathfield, and they will look after all your finance needs. And they've always got a new deal going on every couple of weeks from various financial institutions. So please give them a call. It costs you nothing, and they support us, so please support them.
Beautiful. And now moving on to the grudge match between. Oh, I didn't realize what the graphics as. You're literally between Gus here. You can literally box between Gus and Chammas on the screen there.
Like Daly playing musical chairs.
Boom, 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 boom.
For those who missed it, I've got a bit of it goes for a couple of minutes, but it was a 10-minute. I mean, I can't believe that Channel 9. I can. It's kind of funny that because it's been the talk of in rugby league terms. It's been everything that every conversation about rugby league today would have been surrounding this chat last night, and it's just kind of funny. I guess as the couple of media members mentioned, he is on $1 million a year, so I guess it is within the Channel 9's socials and marketing departments to absolutely clip the shit out of it all day and absolutely run with it. So, yeah, let's play. It's a decent whack of it. We'll just play one big clip of it. I'm just got to find it. It's much harder. Where are you? Here we go.
Been impressed by Cameron Ciraldo. He's obviously got a relationship with Luke Vella, the assistant coach who coached him at Westfield Sports. And I listened to what Gus said earlier about him having no involvement. Is that right that you weren't even at the dinner the other night? That
I haven't met Lachlan Galvin.
Yeah.
I haven't met Lachlan Galvin.
So
I really haven't.
Why do you not turn up to
what I do know? What
decision?
I do know is that there's not another CEO, another general manager, or recruitment manager that has to sit on a panel and answer these questions.
But that's your choice,
week in, week out. Eh?
That's your choice.
Yeah, I'm just saying you're getting
Yeah.
free license here.
Yeah, well,
but what I'm saying is these are things that we do internally. Most of our issues internally are created by the gibber in the media and what you want to do and extend on it.
But it's not gibber. We
It is
predicted
gibber.
it was
It
going to
is
end
gibber,
up
because
in
you say a lot of
at the
things that
Bulldogs.
just aren't true, and you say a lot of things that are
We
exaggerated.
played a highlight clip of what you've said over the last few months.
You're exaggerating.
Tell me which one.
All of it.
Yeah, but we hit you
You
about Lachlan
exaggerate
Galvin.
figures, you exaggerate what's going on, and
Okay.
that makes it difficult for us. Now, I don't want to sit here and point out everything that you've done wrong. It doesn't worry me, and it doesn't influence me, but it certainly has effect on the players, and it has an effect on the players and their families, and that's what you don't see, and that's the thing that we've got to mop up. That's the thing
So
that we've got to do.
Then when we ask you about these things, is that why you mislead us with what the information is?
What have I misled you on?
Well, the Galvin situation. For
How did
one.
I mislead you?
Leo Thompson, you said that.
How did I mislead you on Lachlan Galvin?
Gus, you're 3 steps ahead of everyone. To suggest that you didn't think that Galvin.
You say that. How did I mislead you on Lachlan Galvin?
What
Go
you
back
said,
to
you
everything
said you
I've
weren't
ever
interested.
said. What?
You said you weren't interested.
I never at any time said we weren't interested. What I said was,
he's not in
we're
your
on
plans.
a different course. He's not in our plans because he wasn't off contract till 27.
Yeah, but
We couldn't
we
talk
all
to him
knew
till
he was
November.
going to. We all knew that was going to. You can see
I
it
didn't
was
know that.
unfold. Oh,
I
come
didn't know
on,
that.
Gus.
No, you're surmising that now because it's happened. You want that to be the
At
truth.
the time, we were all saying, "How is
You
this going
want
to be
that
tenable?"
to be the truth. That's what you want. That's the scenario that you want
You
to
didn't
create.
see it happening that way.
No, I didn't see that happening that way at all. Not at all.
Mate, I said to you, I joked about here. I said, I don't think it's a coincidence that you
why do you
ended your
assume
feud
that
with
I knew
Isaac
that?
Moses.
Why do you assume? Because it suits your narrative.
It's not about narrative.
It suits
You
the
ended your
media's
feud with
narrative.
Isaac Moses at the end of last year.
It suits
I
the
thought that was
media.
clear. Then you started.
You go back and
publicly-
review everything I've said about Lachlan Galvin and what transpired, and everything I said was 100% the truth at the time. The goalposts moved this week when they came back and said he could be available now,
And I don't
which I
doubt
took
that.
to the coaches. And the coaches went and met with him, not me. The coaches went and met
I don't
with him.
doubt that.
I met with the manager Thursday after the coach come back and said this could be an option. Wasn't my decision, coach's decision.
So how does it sit with you then when Andrew Webster writes today that there are clubs up in arms that, and you spoke about, you have to come on this
I don't
position.
think Andrew Webster writes.
No, but you're
Or
sitting
any
on a
journalist
panel.
or any journalist in this town, to be honest.
But the clubs are obviously starting to say, well, why can Gus publicly court Lachlan Galvin? Tell everyone
How
he's
did
the
I
best
publicly
player.
court Lachlan Galvin?
Well, what you said about him, you
What did I
praised him
say?
like I've never heard before about
I've
any
praised a
other
lot
player.
of players. I praised Cameron Smith. Did
Yeah.
I ever offer you a contract, Cameron? No, never. Nor would I think you'd ever become
Do you care though? Do you care though that other clubs
No.
are saying stuff to the
I
NRL
don't give a
because they
rat's
are?
what other clubs think. You mistake me for someone who cares.
Well,
Michael,
I don't think
is
you care.
there a chance?
Well, what I don't like is being sit here with a bloke like you.
Tell me.
Questioning my credibility.
I'm
or
not
questioning
questioning your
you are.
credibility. No, I'm
you
not.
said I misled the public. You said I misled you.
Yeah,
I
that's what
didn't
everyone's
mislead
saying at the
anyone.
moment, yeah.
No, you're saying it.
I'm not
You're
just
saying
talking
I
about the
misled you.
Galvin
I
situation.
misled no
There is
one.
a number of issues
I misled
over
no one.
years.
I misled no one. Mind your words, son.
Your question. Is there a chance that he doesn't even end up?
Mind your words, son. Rob, yeah, very entertaining television. It was quite funny. You sent me a text last night because you have to get checked out this conversation, and I was literally just getting ready to go to bed. I was actually watching Forrest Gump on a movie channel, but as much as I love Forrest Gump, this was absolutely great television. I had to flick over straight away and check it out. Rob, where do we start with this one?
My first thoughts of near the end of that little spiel when he said, "Mind your words, son," Phil Gould sounded like Colonel Jessup talking to Lieutenant Gaffey and a few good men. You know, I was waiting for him to say, "You want the truth? You can't handle the truth." Yeah, it was great TV. Really happy that Michael Chammas stood up to him. Should mention to our listeners, Michael Chammas will be on the show next week via video. So that's a good scoop for us.
He's showing there now. Okay, he has to now.
No, he will. Maybe he's confirmed it. So he'll be here next week.
He's been on the show before. He was on the show a couple of years ago, and he was great.
And look, he would have come on tonight, but obviously if he came on tonight, we couldn't speak about the Gus stuff. And, you know, we don't want to jeopardise his position or make it look like he's doubling down on things. We would have had to speak about other stuff. And I think tonight I would have preferred to speak about this. Look, it's very important just to digress from Gus a little bit and remind everyone Lachlan Galvin was going to leave regardless of whether it was Gus Gould or anyone else. If he didn't go to Canterbury, he would have gone to Parramatta. He was clearly looking for an out from the club. I knew this months ago. I was told a couple of months ago he was going to Canterbury. We broke it on this podcast and said he's going to Canterbury, even though Gould keeps denying it. I also said that he'd signed with the Tigers because someone from Canterbury told me that they're not going to be able to match the offer that Lockie's going to receive. Little did we know that Lockie was going to reject that offer. But back to Gould, what can you say? I've written a whole list of stuff, Josh, that's not even to do with that clip, but I will just say a couple of things about that clip, and I know you've got other stuff to mention as well. I have written some stuff down. I hope I don't need to refer to them too much, but let me just have a look. He says, more importantly, so if anyone watched that show, you need to hear what Gould said to Gallen. So Gould said to Paul Gallen when he was quizzed by him, "I haven't spoken to him." Okay, so those were his words. I haven't spoken to him. But then when he was speaking to Michael Chammas, after about 3 or 4 minutes, when Chammas asked him about Toby Sexton and what was going on with him, it looked like he was going to stay. Now you're going to move him on, etc. Gould's reply was, referring to Sexton, "I spoke to him on Friday and I told him the previous day I had some discussions with Lachlan Galvin." So to Paul Gallen, he says, "I've never spoken to him." And then in that same breath, on the next interview, on the same show, he says, "I had some discussions with Lachlan Galvin." So they both can't be true. And we're going to be using the word allegedly a lot because, you know, it's not nice to call people liars, but ultimately his credibility's shot. I will never believe another word he says out of his mouth, and it's typical of his commentary. Tomorrow night we've got a State of Origin game, and I promise you whoever wins, he'll say, "I told you so." He'll say, "This is Queensland. This is how they always fight back. They score in the last 5 minutes of every half. That's their DNA. And then if New South Wales win, I always knew they were going to blow them away in the forwards." He just talks double Dutch and spin the whole time. But there's a plethora of stuff that he said about us. He like talking about courting him. He needs to stay at the Tigers. It'd be a tragedy for them to lose him. Then a month ago, he says, "I think his situation is untenable and he needs to leave straight away." He probably shouldn't be on that money at a young age. About Canterbury, we've got other plans. We have pathways at the Bulldogs. And then this is the part that bothers me the most, because he's allowed to commentate, and I've got no issue with him doing what's best for Canterbury. At the bottom line is you can't be accused of anti-tampering. And tell me this isn't anti-tampering. My recommendation to him, to his management, his parents, you need to be the best 22-year-old footballer you can be, because your career doesn't start till you're about 24, 25. So he's basically enticing him that you shouldn't be on big money. And now he's taken a pay cut. You know, your best football will come around 22. Your career starts at 22. He's 19 now and he's signed for 3 years. It's just such a poor look. But again, I want to repeat, it's not sour grapes because we were losing him anyway. It was made clear to me from the Galvin camp back in January, a number of things they were unhappy with that he was going to leave, Josh. So I'm happy to get into that. I don't want to turn this into a total monologue, but you know, it's just wrong that a guy who is a general manager can actually court someone via his media role. And if you take Gould's words, which you really can't, but you take him at what he says, he was accusing Chammas and all the guys in the media of gibbering and not believing any of it. Well, Gould doesn't see himself as part of the media, even though he is. He sees himself as a general manager. So when he speaks, he believes he's a general manager. That makes what he has been saying about the Galvin situation even worse. I don't care if he lies to all of us. He can say what he wants on his TV show. All I'm concerned about is ultimately this was like happening months ago. I can 100% tell you that the Galvin management was being pressured to wait till November the 1st. Okay. And from the Galvin's management's point of view, what would be the right thing for them to do by their client if one of the heaviest hitters in the game says, wait till November 1st, I will make it worth your while, no matter what the Tigers offer you. And I'll go into it a bit more detail later, Josh, but in case people think I'm spinning crap, I collaborated with a couple of people. I voiced my concerns to a few people. I got some of this information back to Richo via another party, a good friend of mine. I've spoken to Gary Watson from West Tigers podcast. Even going back to January, I spoke to Joel Helms from West Tigers podcast about actually doing a petition against Phil Gould because of his involvement and knowing back in January what he was trying to do. And I thought if we could start a petition, it might get him to back off. But ultimately, guys, he was going to leave. If he didn't go to Canterbury, he would have gone elsewhere. Lachlan Galvin wasn't happy at the club. And he's entitled to do what he wants. And I got no beef ultimately with him and his parents about what they do about his career. My beef is it's absolutely derailed our 2025 season. We had something good building up. And looking at our depth and how bare the cupboard is, I'm not really looking forward to the rest of the year, because if we get any more injuries as it is now, I think we're in deep trouble. Like right now, you look at that 17 named, and it's not the strongest 17 in the world. We've got players playing out of position like Heath Mason. Granted, he's played 5/8 before, but you know we're down to the bones, and it's created disharmony in the club. We've had legal action taken against us. We've had all sorts of bullying accusations and what have you going on. What he's done to the club, Lachlan Galvin, okay, whether he's coerced or not, is awful. And again, on Galvin and his parents, like, people just have to be real. No matter what he's done, no one loves Lachlan Galvin more than his parents, and they want the best for him. So I got no issue with them choosing whatever they want to do, but it's come at a great cost to us. And ultimately, I actually think it's, even if he has a successful footy career, this stench is going to remain with him for a long time, because he comes across now as someone that isn't team first. It's all about him. And like I said, he can do what I want, but that's not a good look. And it's a big risk for Canterbury to act, like, given the fact that they're sitting on top of the table to do this, but they can make it work. He's one of the most talented players I've seen. I don't think he's improved much this year. Like, given on what he's shown us this year, he hasn't been great, but perhaps in the Canterbury system, he'll improve and he'll turn out to be the player he wants to be. But I think we could, I think it's pretty safe to say we should all be pretty dirty with how this has affected our club and how it's made us look and how it's going to affect our year.
How are you feeling about the situation? For me, all those things that Rob just said in terms of the distractions and basically the dramas, the court cases and that sort of thing. Hopefully the part of the deal is that the court cases have dropped and this can be a clean cut and we can just move on with the season, and the boys can be, albeit, look, we're down on injuries, but at least we know probably every player in that team is going to be all shoulders to the one wheel.
Yeah, pardon the pun, but I think this will galvanise the team, and the team itself will be stronger as a unit on the other side of this. I just can't wait for it to be over. It's been an absolute mess. It's been an absolute shit show. We as fans deserve better. The club, Benji is the coach, and the rest of the coaching staff deserve better. Just an extra word there on Isaac Moses that wasn't really touched on in that clip you played, Josh. Do you have any more clips other than that short one that you previewed to Rob and I before we started?
Of that particular, of the Chammas, the actual interview itself?
Chammas.
No, I've only got clips about other journos talking about it. That's
okay.
That's
so My extra little bit on Isaac Moses is Gould insinuates that Isaac Moses came to him more to power brokers at the Bulldogs and said he could be getting a release as early as whenever it was.
Tuesday.
And my thoughts on that is, how is that not tampering by Isaac Moses when he should not be insinuating to anyone at any club in any way, shape or form while Lachlan is still contracted to the Tigers and the early release hasn't been sought, or the early release / permission to talk to rival clubs hasn't been sorted at the time. So I think that's something really suspicious going on there, and proves that Isaac Moses has a lot more of a hand in this than he absolutely should, which proves again why he should never have been allowed back into the game after his previous ban. I honestly don't even know what that was for. I just know he was banned from the game for a while, but I just think he shouldn't have come back. But yeah, I can't wait for Galvin to be gone. It'll just help the club so much more with unity and camaraderie, and we'll be better come the other side of this mess.
What was he banned for, Rob? Do you remember? He's been banned twice.
There was something to do with a Melbourne Storm player whose name escapes me. I think could be something to do with Tedesco. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it goes back years ago to some player in Melbourne, but I'm sure one of our listeners can fill us in on that.
All right, let's do Buzz. Now, everyone prepare yourself for, well, probably, I know for myself, agreeing with Buzz Rothfield. It's like a blood moon. It doesn't happen very often, but yeah, I don't know. Make a decision for yourself.
The bit I found unbelievable was Gus saying it's not right that I have to sit here and be questioned like this when no other fit. Mate, he's on nearly $1 million a year to sit in that panel at Channel 9. And more often than not, he uses to an advantage where he talks up Lachlan Galvin. He outrageously said Lachlan Galvin was the best kid he's ever seen play rugby league. Now, please, Fred Fittler, Laurie Daly and these kids who came through at that age. Lachlan Galvin has, in my view, still, as much as he's promising, a lot to prove.
What do you think needs to happen then with something like Gus? Because obviously he's got to protect his interests at the Bulldogs, and obviously he's got his media career as well. So does he not have to lie from time to time? Is that just not natural? Or do you think if he's going to be doing that, he shouldn't be in the media as well?
Yeah, that's right. And I had this argument with Jimmy Graham in this studio on Sunday, in that rugby league officials do lie. And it's a fact we've got to live with, and I've been told so many over the years. But when you're being paid, as I said, nearly $1 million to sit on a panel like we're doing here, like we do on NRL 360, any podcast we do, we're here to inform. We're here to tell people what's happening and the truth. And this is where Gus gets himself into an awkward situation where he's got this Canterbury first attitude, and good on him for having that. He's done a great rebuild there, and I think they're a title chance this year. But as a viewer, I don't think he's been that upfront with them.
Yeah, anything to add on that clip from Buzz there, Rob? Obviously, yeah, it's good to see all the journos, both news and what's Fairfax called now? Nine papers. They're all standing up for each other and going into bat for Michael. They're all piling on to Gus, which is the right argument, but they're all standing up for their fellow colleague, even though he's technically a rival.
My perspective on this is a little bit different, I think, to everyone. Given the fact he's a Canterbury GM, as terrible as it is, and I don't think you or I would do this if we had a media position like he does on Channel 9, I don't care if he lies. He can lie every week. What he can't do is be guilty of anti-tampering. He cannot be guilty of courting another player and influencing the market. He didn't only influence it on Lachie Galvin. He knew that we would have to bump our price up to keep him, because he made sure that he kept saying Dylan Brown was worth $1.3 million a year for 10 years. And I'm like, what is this guy talking about? Brown's not even worth half that money. But he knew that by jacking Brown's price up, that obviously the Tigers don't have to come in for the best up-and-coming young half in the game, whether he's 5'8" or halfback. So he manipulates things to suit Canterbury, which is fine. But you cannot be courting someone, or you cannot be talking to management, which he'll say never happened, which I know happened, and eventually get the player that he wants. I mean, he said so many other things as well, Josh. You know, we are not involved in the Lachlan Galvin discussion. We won't be involved in the Lachlan Galvin discussion. We wish him all the best. Like, he says so many different things, which, again, he can lie all he wants, but not when he's lying because he's sort of trying to throw away that illusion of anti-tampering. Because we broke, well, not just us, like everyone knew he was going to go to Canterbury. And then as soon as that momentum gained about Galvin going to Canterbury, he came out and just put it away and goes, we're not interested. So suddenly guys like me had to say, oh, well, man, I thought he was going to Canterbury, but if he's going to Parramatta, he's going to Parramatta. Maybe he's had a change of heart. But that's how he deflected it, rightfully from a Canterbury point of view, because Canterbury were chugging along at the time. They were undefeated and they kept on their merry winning way. So I've got no issue with him doing the right thing for Canterbury. You just can't anti-tamper. That's all I care about. He can lie till the cows come home. He can say, I never said this or never said that. That doesn't bother me. But when it comes to anti-tampering, the NRL needs to be stronger on this. We're a struggling club. And it's not just the fact that a player's left us. And again, I repeat, he was going to leave us anyway. But it's that illusion now that, whether you believe it or not, Benji can't coach. Allegedly, Richo hasn't handled the situation well. I don't know else what Richo was supposed to do. Like, if he didn't make Galvin an offer, we would have been saying, mate, it's May. Why aren't you offering this kid a contract yet? We've got all this money. What are you doing? So I've got no issue with Richo. I've got no issue with Benji from that point of view. But now if Galvin's going around basically defaming Benji Marshall about his coaching, why is someone else going to come to the club? And if our season turns to shit and we end up in the bottom three, it's going to be harder again to acquire players. Not that I don't doubt Richo's ability to get players over and make us a better club. I think the rugby league world should be able to see that in 10 of our 11 games we've been very competitive, and there's just a different metal about this team. But it made it hurts. I mean, we're going through something that needlessly, it didn't need to happen, mate. And if we knew Galvin was leaving, like, I think one mistake maybe Richo made was we shouldn't have released Tony Large because he still had a contract for this season. We should have waited for Galvin to commit before we released him, because he didn't want to hang around if Galvin was going to be our number 6 for the next 5 to 10 years. That might have been the only mistake. But again, mate, no one's perfect. I'm not bagging him, but I'm just stating a fact that maybe that could have happened. But we built our club around Galvin. We said, you're going to be the face of our organisation. And just like he used us, you know, clubs use players as well. It's a two-way street. It's not just like a player shitting on a club. We know clubs do the wrong thing by players. What was it with David Clemmer this year? If Clemmer played 17 games or something, or 14 games, whatever it was, he was going to get an extra bonus. So we shipped him off. Like, it works both ways, but it just hurts that for a club, for a fan base that hasn't had hope for a long time. And I was probably the most guilty of it, and I apologise because I waxed on about this guy, mate. I christened him the Galvinator, used to call him Future Immortal. I talked him up deluxe, and I had my hopes so high thinking we're going to be competitive for a long time, Josh. And I think we still will be competitive, but, you know, it's going to hurt, and it's kind of good in a way that we've had a month or two to get used to this, as opposed to just cutting it from the head. But we just have to move on. We can't just wallow over it. We've got to move on and find other players. But it's a tough situation for everyone at the club. What I will say on Shane Richardson, and he's obviously hamstrung right now because of potential legal action, what have you. As a member, as a supporter, I really need to hear from him. I need him to come out with one of those.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah, but he needs to, mate, because we need some, we need to sort of marshal the troops. We need to marshal the troops. I need some positive feedback. Like, I don't care if we haven't signed anyone. I don't want knee-jerk signings, but I just need our leader to sort of say everything will be all right and maybe give us a little bit more detail of whatever he can on the Galvin situation and put our mind at ease, because, again, it's another season where we're just getting smashed over the head, for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, the big thing too is it looks bad on us as well because we offered him. What did we end up? Was it $1 million per year that we offered him?
It was approximately $1 million a year, and we were upgrading the remainder of his current contract for 2025 and 2026 to be grossly inflated.
So people were saying, well, he's taking a $250K per year times that, but he's only signed a 3-year deal. So the thing is, he's signed 750, which is still a lot of money. But the fact is, over 3 years, if he's taken 250K left, that's 750K that he's left on the table. But also in 3 years' time, we're going to have an expansion franchise around maybe a second one incoming. So if PNG actually happens, so possibly another team coming in. So a whole lot of money, probably another TV deal happening as well. So the salary cap will go up. I would not be surprised that the year after of those it's 3.5, isn't it? The Dogs, so half this year, plus 3. When his next deal comes around, that he's not on, assuming his trajectory keeps going, he's on 1.4, 1.5 anyway. Whereas he would have been on only 1.0 with us. So don't be surprised that in the end, he'll make up that 250K loss at the back end of this contract. So that's why I thought the meal was actually a good deal for us. But yeah,
given the Canterbury roster, and they've got like a few quality players, particularly Crichton in the centres and kick out. If Canterbury's successful and Galvin performs how Canterbury want him to perform in the halves, as much as the salary cap goes up and you've got room for more players and paying him bigger money, he's not going to be this player. Like, he's not Nathan Cleary, but he'll be the Nathan Cleary of that club. So it'll be all the guys coming through that go well and make a name for themselves. They're the ones that are going to have to move on. The fixture in the Canterbury future will be Lachlan Galvin. And that's why Gould did everything he could to get him there, whether it was legal or not legal. And look, good luck to them. But again, it's, I'm just a little bit dirty on how it played out. And again, it's nothing personal about Galvin. Like, he was really nice to me and you when he met us, and he was kind enough to take a photo, and his dad's always been friendly and a gentleman to us. But, the way this has played out, Lachlan Galvin's about Lachlan Galvin. He's not a team first person, mate. I mean, he left Parramatta to join a gun, Balmain side that won a premiership full of good players in the juniors. Like, he seems to want to go
Magpies, yeah.
Well, wherever it is, to win games and look good. He doesn't want to be a part of a culture where you got to build it up from the bottom. He's joining a team now on top of the table. And don't get me wrong, it's obviously a better destination than Parramatta with a first-year coach. But Parramatta have shown some significant signs the last few weeks in how their style of play is and how a little bit more steely they are. They had a good win against Manly. They only conceded 10 or 12 points the other night. So they're on the way up. And I actually think Galvin probably would have suited him more in the sense that he just slots into that left side of the field where he's always been a dominant player. Like, even as a junior growing up, he was a left edge second rower amongst other positions that he's played. So he loves that left side so much. I don't know, like, Burton's the left-sided half. Burton plays left side of the field. So I don't know how that dynamic works if Galvin goes into the halves with Burton. But look, the one thing about Galvin too is he looks after himself better than anyone. Jerome Luai, who obviously can't stand him at the moment, said he's the fittest player he's ever played with, and he's played with Dylan Edwards, who's won every fitness challenge the last 4 or 5 years. So look, he's a professional. Like, he'll be the best he can be, Galvin, but he just needs a little bit of a reality check, and maybe Ciraldo to bring him down a notch and just put that ego back in check a bit and simplify his game. I'm sure he'll be successful with the Dogs.
Rob, I'll ask you in a second about Adele had very strong words on the show on Sunday night. For those who haven't heard it, after you've listened to this, go back and listen to that episode, because Adele, put it this way, very rarely is Mr. Bashara not the spiciest person on a podcast. Adele was, he was 5 chilies in this one. He was absolutely, going off in that one. The Adele's coaches report is now brought to you by Gym Direct. So thank you to Gym Direct for coming on as a partner of the West Tigers Life podcast. Gym Direct, they literally fit out gyms for sporting teams, and they can sell everything from dumbbells, kettlebells, all your fitness equipment, cable machines, absolutely everything. So if you're looking to set up a home gym, they are offering listeners of our show 5% off. So if you use the code WTLXGD5, if you go to westtigers.com.au, there's a button there to go to the landing page, and it has the code there. So, and it'll be in the description of this episode as well. But you can get 5% off. If you're a personal trainer, they're willing to give any personal trainers that are listening to the show, you can get 10% off. So contact them and tell them you're a personal trainer. And they'll give you 10% off by just saying that you are a West Tigers Life listener. But on Adele, Rob, he didn't have kind words, so to speak, for Lockie's former teacher, who's at the Bulldogs. So his name escapes me, but
Luke Vella.
How much? Yeah, do you think Vella is? You said he's joining them because they're on top of the table. Do you think it's that as much? Like, how much percentage of it is this Mr. Vella guy?
Oh, it's obviously an advantage for him to be there. I mean, we saw when Galvin dived over for the no try against South a couple of Sunday nights ago, how he, pointed or kissed the tattoo that he shares with Luke Vella. So obviously it's an advantage. But at the time that we were told that Gould was putting pressure on Galvin's management to hold off till November the 1st, Canterbury had only won their first couple of games. He wouldn't have known that, where they were going to be or what they were going to do. But look, perhaps his mind wasn't made up where to go. Like he would like to have courted as many offers as he could. But no, I don't think he's just going there for the sake of it. But I'm just saying he's got a history of wanting to be in winning teams. And look, it's a big risk from Canterbury because, like I said earlier, they're on top of the table. So the only way they can go is down if this backfires. But I think Serraldo's a good coach. I think as much as I don't trust Gould as far as I can throw him, Gould will be a good mentor to him. And I guess, as I said on Sunday night with Adele, Josh, we've seen how much Galvin's improved from the start of his first game of 2024 against Canberra to his last game, and it hasn't been that significant. How we judge Lachlan Galvin is the next 18 months with Canterbury. You want to see if it's a success for his individual growth or not. Let's judge him at the end of 2026. I think now we're just all guessing and plucking at straws. And if he's going to play actual halfback, I mean, I don't think it's too much of a difference with what he's doing with us. He was probably getting 55 to 60% of the ball anyway at first receiver. And I think he'll just be a right side half at Canterbury and Burton will be left. So whether he's got 7 or 6 on his back, I don't think that matters too much. But let's just judge him at the end of 2026 before it's a good thing. And I'll repeat, as much as I'm dirty on how it's all panning out for us, I don't want to be a fickle supporter and say, I hope he breaks both legs. I hope he has a good career, because there's a potential now for his career to derail if this move to Canterbury doesn't work. And then who will want him at another club if he has a bad 18 months or so with Canterbury? So I hope it works out for him. I know he works bloody hard on his game, but again, he needs a little bit more of that team first mentality if he wants to achieve big things in his career.
All right, I'm going to play a clip from Paul Crawley on NRL 360 tonight.
For once, Gus was he was put to the sword. He was questioned. I thought he looked nervous. I thought he looked anxious about his responses. He can say until he's blue in the face that this has all happened in recent days since Galvin was given permission to talk to other clubs. But I think the NRL, as the governing body of our game, owe it to the other clubs. You talk about the other clubs. I think we have rules in place, and I'm not accusing Gus of doing the wrong thing here, but I think the NRL owe it to the clubs to do a proper investigation into this and try and find out exactly when the phone calls did start. Look, they might be telling the complete truth, but because there is so much innuendo out there, the game owes it to everyone to tell us what the truth was. There was accusations flying at the time.
As some strong words from Crawley demanding that the NRL does an investigation, to half quote Jeff Tuvey there. What do you think the NRL needs to do to stop this from happening?
Yeah, I fully agree. There's so much question and debate about how this has gone, how this all started, when it all started, and how that fits into the timeline of when releases have been asked for, when Lachlan has tried to get out of the club previously, as well as situations where obviously discussions have been had recently between Gould and Isaac Moses, or Isaac Moses and whoever the hell Isaac Moses, other people who he's had discussions with. And yeah, just because there's so many questions and so much debate around it, I genuinely agree that I think some sort of investigation needs to happen. And let's not forget as well that Gould, as early as last year, spent a lot of time on his Six Tackles with Gus podcast, hyping up Lachlan Galvin. And I can't remember exact quotes word for word, but I do remember one where he said something along the lines of, he's going to be the highest paid player in rugby league history at by the time he retires, or by the time he's 30 or something along those lines. And other things he's done to kind of hype up Lachlan and increase the value that we'd obviously have to try and pay him. And now he's come in with this offer that is a lowball offer compared to what we as a club offered him. It all just sounds incredibly sketchy to me. Like there's definitely some sort of byplay going on behind the scenes. And yeah, whenever this all started, needs to be figured out. Because I agree that Gould should not have two jobs. If he's going to be the head honcho of the Bulldogs, then he shouldn't be in the media. Or if he wants to stay in the media, he should F right off from the Bulldogs, because the conflict of interest in a way is massive. And the ability he has to kind of corner the market and rig the market more in his club's favour is very sketchy. And while he's doing that in the best interests of his club, I think he's crossed a line somewhere, and something needs to be done to prevent it from happening again.
One last clip before we'll put a button on this.
Which I am. you listen to Gus's denials about this for months, and you look at all the evidence that all along, going back to last August, indicated that there was a love affair here, that he wanted him at the Bulldogs. And it's almost like this has been manipulated to occur over a period of time. And even recently, Gus did say in one of his podcasts that he didn't think that Lachlan Galvin could stay at the Tigers. And so, you know, and then we're led to believe this has all happened when the goalpost changed a few days ago. Really?
Is that good business?
Did we come down in the last shower?
Yeah, Rob, look, it's the question everyone's asking now. And the thing is that, as you've already mentioned, I can't remember if we said it on the show, like how long ago did we start mentioning, I know definitely in the Discord, it's been months that you mentioned that the Dogs were, or Gus was, talking to Isaac Moses, and this was the plan all along. Like it's been quite a. It was almost the start of the season, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, at the start of the season, guys, I mentioned that someone from the Galvin camp was concerned about a number of things. Firstly, the negative media that the West Tigers always get, like it was really playing on their mind, which again, I mentioned Joel Helms' name earlier. I rang Joel up, and at the time we'd formed that West Tigers Unite to sort out the Holman Barnes stuff. And I said, mate, I think we need to just ease up on this a little bit, because this is the feedback I'm getting from the camp, and we don't want to lose him. And luckily for us, I think a couple of days earlier, Richo, Baz, Julie Romero and Simon Cook did that interview, and we pretty much got what we wanted from that petition. So we didn't sort of stop the petition, but we just kind of let things die down and let it be. But they're also concerned about, as I said earlier, Benji being a coach. Would we be competitive this year? And it was made clear to me that if we won our fair share of games, if we were hovering around the top 8, by the end of July, that it would be more chance of Lachlan Galvin staying, which with the benefit of hindsight now, I know was crap. But yeah, so back in January, I knew that. And as I told you, when I heard, the strong information about Gould putting pressure on Moses to make him hold off till November the 1st, again, I got someone to reach out to Richo. I told you earlier, I rang Gary up. Gary spoke to Joel. They both, I think they've got a bit of a connection within the club. And they came back to me and said, look, we're not going to start a petition against Gould. Richo believes everything's going to be all right. And I was very satisfied with that answer. And given what Richo was offering Lachlan Galvin, I don't think Richo did anything wrong there. I would have thought I've got it under control too if I was going to offer a 19-year-old approximately $1 million per year over 5 years. So the noise was there. Everyone knew about it, and there's still nothing we can do about it. And that's the thing. And the NRL do need to step in. But again, I love rugby league, but I'm not a fan of the NRL organisation because I keep saying this, and we've just had 5 matches this weekend, 3 of them that were just absolutely corrupted because teams are missing half their players. The NRL only cares about revenue. That is literally their primary concern. They do not care about the home and away draw. They do not care about anti-tampering. We all know unofficially that everyone anti-tampers, okay, probably including our club, okay? Everyone does the anti-tampering. It's just that Gus does it in our face, and we're meant to say that it's just a coincidence that Lachie Galvin took a pay cut to go to Canterbury when Gould said, I don't think it's fair on a 19-year-old to have that pressure of having $1 million contract. They shouldn't have $1 million contract. I don't think he'll play his best footy till he's 22. He gets a 3-year contract till he's 22. Like, this has all the remnants of Gould, and Gould's a great talker and he's very influential and he's got a lot of runs on the board. So I wouldn't blame the Galvin camp for being influenced by that at all, but he did it in our face and he gets away with it. And, again, full marks to Michael Chammas for taking the task on that. And I hope it doesn't backfire on Michael, but knowing Michael as I do, and we've been in regular contact this year, he's just so, he's so tough, and he's a man of his word. Like, I know a lot of the journos cop a bad rap, but even when a few of our supporters were dishing it to him a month ago, I reached out to him and I said, mate, I can see how objective you are, because there are times he bags us, but generally when he bags us, he's doing it rightfully, but he's also very fair. And I'm just glad that someone took it to Gould and didn't back down. But again, we'll just see how this plays out. I just think Galvin goes to Canterbury. Gould just tones it down a little bit, goes back to being his charming, lovable self, and being all jovial, and everyone will forget about it, and we'll move on. And if there's another generational player that comes around in a few years, Gould will be at it again.
All right, let's move on. West Tigers taking on the Cowboys this weekend. This Saturday, it's 5:30. I thought it was. I was thinking it was 7:30 game. 5:30. So join us at the Orange Grove Hotel at 5 from well before 5:30 on a Saturday. I love that it's a Saturday. It's always pumping at the OG a little bit more than a Sunday. So 5:30. Get in there. We'll be there, ready to go. I reckon the OG is going to be a big one for us on Saturday, boys. Run us through the team list for the West Tigers.
All right, so we have Jareem Buller lining up at fullback, Sania Taruva and Charlie Staines are on the wings. Adam Dewey and Stafford Toa are in the centres, with Heath Mason and Jerome Luai in the halves. Terrell May and Royce Hunt are the front rowers, with Appy Coruscant at hooker. Samuela Fainu, Alex Seyfarth in the second row, with Alex Twal at lock. The bench is Brent Naden, Jack Bird, Sione Fainu, Tony Sukar. Our 18th man is Tristan Hope. Our other reserves are Luke Laulii, Charlie Murray, Kit Laulii, and Talon De Silva.
Yeah, so Heath Mason we're all wondering, would he go Adam? Would he go Naden? I think the name popped up. Nearly gave Rob a heart attack when Naden, where was it in the Discord? Someone mentioned, or did I dream that someone mentioned Brent Naden's name as possible 6 for this week? Did I make that up in my head?
No, I think someone did mention
I don't
that.
remember hearing that.
I don't know where I read it. Where it might have been. It might have been in the Discord or something. Might have been through. I don't know. Maybe it was a terrible joke that someone made. But anyway, Heath Mason. Yeah, apparently, I did see a comment today. Again, I can't remember if I saw it on Twitter or on the Discord, that apparently Heath Mason did actually move Lachlan Galvin to the back row in their junior days to play in the halves. So we've all got this picture of Heath Mason because he's played at fullback, thinking that this is a bit of a move of shuffling the deck a little bit. But by the sounds of it, Rob, by all reports, this is his best position. So maybe, look, we all got our hearts set on Latu, but it's good that it's something different, and let's give Heath a crack.
Yeah, he's a halfback first and foremost. Like, he's played his footy in the halves. He's a manufactured fullback, given that fullbacks these days are a little bit more diminutive. And, hate to say it, guys, when he's played fullback, he's struggled under the high ball. So I think it proves he's not a fullback and he's actually a half. Yeah, you're right. He did Galvin was in the second row when and played with Galvin when Mason was 5'8". But just on Naden, Josh, I think I could be wrong, but I'll test Aaron's memory. I think when Naden came into the 14, it might have been Aaron that said he's played a bit of New South Wales Cup at 5'8" and what have you, and maybe that's where it's stuck in your memory from. But if there's a late shuffle, guys, it'd be Naden centre, Dewey to 6, and then Mason on the bench. But I don't know how that's going to pan out. What I will say, Josh, I found it very interesting that Tristan Hope is 18th man as opposed to Talon De Silva. So that seems to me like, maybe I'm just, overthinking it, but it seems to me like I'm just questioning his talent on the outer now. Because if you're going to put someone at 18th man, I mean, Talon's played a lot more hooker than Tristan Hope. And I guess people say, oh, well, maybe Talon needs the match fitness. We need the 2 points. So, again, I'm just curious if Talon's on the outer, if he's going to be heading over to Belmore, given Reid Marnie has been told he can look elsewhere. I know Canterbury have got some other options there, a hooker, without De Silva, but we know they're very close friends. So that wouldn't surprise me if Canterbury make a play for De Silva as well, and that would be another gun junior that we would have lost, which would be a shame.
Yep, that's someone called the ambulance for you, Rob, because I mentioned Naden at 5'8", possibly.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're doing the show in the front room, mate. So a bit too close to the road.
It must have. That's weird because there's one outside my. Can you hear it through my mic now?
No, I can't.
There's one going past my house now. They couldn't have got from our house.
Teleportation.
Anyway. Yeah, it's a very fast driving ambulance. Anyway, back to the West Tigers as.
Yeah, I thought there was a chance we'd go with Api Coruscant at number 7 and move Jerome back into the 6, which we had done previously. I think our first game against the Dolphins back in 2013, that was a situation we had with moving Api into the 7. So I thought that could have been a possibility, which would have meant most likely TDS would have started and Tristan would have been on the bench. And I wouldn't have actually minded that sort of combination as well, considering we know that Api's able to do a job there. Being number 7, he'd be first receiver, so he'd have a little bit more to say in the, not necessarily in the ruck, but in where to send the ball, where the right call is to make, and that would allow Luai to play off the back of him. But yeah, I mean, I have heard Heath Mason has done good things as a 5'8", so hopefully he can do that again this weekend. Rob was correct. I did say last time Naden was named in the 14 that he had played number 6 in New South Wales Cup a little bit last year. I remember a couple of games he did. I think his first game back from injury against Parramatta on Easter Monday, because I was there for that one, and
yeah. He played
a
really
game
well
against the Bears at North Sydney as well. So yeah, there sounds like we had options, but I'm actually keen to see how Heath goes at number 6, because obviously we don't have too much of an idea of that ourselves. So if it's true that he did push Galvin to the second row in their younger days coming through the grades, it will be good for him to get a chance. He'll likely only have one game to plead his case, maybe 2, because leading up to the bye, we got that members email or the injury update, which had both Skelton and Latu listed to come back next week, having been pushed back from being due to return this week. So, I mean, and then we have a bye after our game against the Panthers next week. So I feel like there's a chance that maybe they get rested for another 2 weeks and not really rushed back in. So he'll get 1, maybe 2 chances to ply his trade at number 6, and he could really make a real big name for himself. He could really show that this is his position, and he could really make a fist of trying to take what we now assume is Latu's spot for the rest of the season.
Comment here from Mark asking about the gun hooker we have in Jersey Flegg, obviously referring to Haywood, Rob, who Adele spoke a bit about. We've spoken about him a couple of times, but apparently, yeah, he is one of the great talents coming through the club. So, yeah, a lot of people are saying TDS. If TDS walks, then this kid is coming straight in to. And look, it's all dependent on Appy, and I think, especially after the way Appy played last game, we'll take Appy and Jared rather than taking a punt on. As much as we love Talon, come on, it's Appy Coruscant.
Yeah, I don't want to be too repetitive, Josh, but I believe Appy will extend his career with us as long as he doesn't get some terrible injury in the next 18 months. On Talon De Silva, I think he's going to be a very good player. I still think he's 18 months away at least from being the hooker he wants to be. He's certainly dynamic out of dummy half. The rest of his game needs a lot of work. I don't think it'll be a tandem combination with Coruscant and Haywood down the track, given how young Haywood is. I think we've still got hope there. He can always, look, defensively, he'll handle the workload if ever we need to, give someone 20 minutes or what have you. So we've just got to let Haywood develop and hopefully he can be the player we want him to become. But yeah, there seem to be better raps on Haywood than there is De Silva, which is not surprising in my eyes for the 20-odd minutes that I got to watch him play a couple of years ago. But if you spoke to anyone a couple of years ago about who the best up-and-coming young hooker was in the game, it was Talon De Silva. So, again, I don't want to lose Talon, but if he's looking for a first-grade spot and Appy extends for, say, 2 years on top of that end of 2026, I wouldn't blame him for wanting to leave. But if Appy decides to move on, you'd think that, the Tigers would make De Silva a good offer and he'd hang around.
As run us through the Cowboys side for this weekend.
Okay, so their fullback is Scott Drinkwater, Robert Derby, and Jackson Paulo are their wingers, with Zach Labert and Viliami Vailea in the centres. Jackson Purdue and Tom Dearden are their halves. They have Jordan McLean and Sam McIntyre in the front row, with Reece Robson at hooker. John Bateman is in the second row, along with Jeremiah Nanai, and Ruben Cotter is their lock. Their bench is Harrison Edwards, Kai O'Donnell, Griffin Neame, and Cohen Hess. Their 18th man is Jake Clifford, and their extended reserves list contains Thomas Duffy, Carl Lawton, Thomas McKaylee, Braden Burns, Caden Lars, and Jamal Shibasaki.
Yeah. So how many of those guys are backing up, or will be attempting to back up on Saturday?
Four from what I just heard. I think 3
Cotter,
forwards.
Nanai, Dearden,
Robson,
and Robson. Yeah, 3 Queenslanders and a blue.
And it's it's a 72-hour difference. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, about 72 hours. They reckon 48 to 72 hours is the worst time in terms of fatigue playing after a game. So yeah, I mean, people are like, oh, I want to face them at full strength. No, I don't care. Wipe them. We need 2 points. I'll take 2 points. I don't care if we play against I'm trying to think of a Brisbane team. Adele's Logan.
Logan South.
Logan South, yeah. We need 2 points, however we can get it. So let's hope that the Blues smash them up tomorrow and they can't play on Saturday, because that's some quality in there. From memory, did and carved us up last time as well. I think last time
Dearden's on the bench. Dearden's on the bench, so he won't play too much. Sorry, Aaron.
Yeah.
Realistically, though, they're only going from Suncorp back up to North Queensland, so they're basically at home to go back home. So the travel won't be too bad for them. Yeah, realistically, I'd probably expect them all to back up unless there's injuries out of the game.
Might get Thomas McKaylee, a former Tiger, sneaking in, possibly off the extended bench there. Who worries you the most from the Cowboys side, Rob?
I think, look, the player that worries me the most is Jeremiah Nanai. I'm hoping he's sick of seeing the side of Liam Martin tomorrow night in Origin. That's the one thing, because I hear what you're saying. It's 72 hours, and Aaron's saying, they've only got to go up the road technically to back up. They're not playing the West Tigers at Campbelltown on a Saturday afternoon. They're playing New South Wales State of Origin. They are going to kill each other. The only one that might come back fresh will be Dearden, because he might not get much game time. But those other 3 boys, they're going to be facing, the likes of Payne Haas and that, running at them all day. So hopefully they don't have the strength to back up too much. What disappoints me about these lineups, I just think if we're a bit stronger in our lineup, we should win this. They've got so many weaknesses that I can see in that team. But for me, in terms of the forwards, Nanai's a big one. In terms of their backs, Drinkwater's very deceptive and very hard to contain. When he decides to chime into the back line, he can really create. I'm glad Purdue's in the halves, but I know now that I've said that, he'll probably have a blinder, but he wasn't impressive when he played in the halves a couple of weeks ago. But he's just been so dynamic at centre, knowing how lucky he'll find his feet this week. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, guys. So that gives us a really big chance. We just need Heath Mason and Alex Seyfarth on that right edge to be defending very well. In Heath Mason's only other game this year for us, boys, I know it was fullback, so it's a different position, but he made 3 tackles. He missed 3 tackles, and that was at fullback. He's going to be in the front line. Granted, he'll have a bit of help around him, but he's not the biggest bloke in the world. He's got a heart as big as Farlap, so I'm not going to question how hard he's going to try. But again, having his first game at 5'8", and he's been playing fullback all this time in Cup. If Latu Fainu does come back in down the track and Heath Mason is our next in line to play in the halves, he needs to be playing in the halves in Cup. I'm sick of this New South Wales Cup team playing musical freaking chairs, and there's just no continuity, and players are playing in a different position every week. We need to identify who plays where, leave him in those positions, and because it's a terrible thing to be asking Mason to play 5'8" when he hasn't played 5'8" all year in Cup. So again, I just hope we can just get a bit of a system in Cup below us so that players are ready and they're not rusty. And as Aaron mentioned, maybe next time he plays at 5'8", he'll be better for the first up run that he's going to get this Saturday afternoon.
Is that Lachlan Galvin barking behind you there, Rob?
When my dear wife comes home, our little puppy gets very excited. So that's a signal to say wifey's arrived back home.
Yeah, fair enough. What are your thoughts on this Cowboys side?
I think they're a pretty dangerous side. They're obviously performing fairly well this year compared to, I think, a little bit of a down year last year, even though they still ended up finishing 5th. Scott Drinkwater, I think, for me, is the player I'm most concerned about. He's one of the most dangerous players in that lineup. Really good fullback, really able to control their defense, chimes in the plays at the right moment, has a very good kicking game, and can play off the back of what his halves do really, really well. So he's a really big concern. Their back line as a whole is rather dangerous. Robert Darby, Zach Laybart on one side, Viliami Vailea and Jackson Paulo on the other. All very talented players. A few youngsters in there, but yeah, super talented. If they get space, they'll cause us a lot of havoc as well. Interesting to see Sam McIntyre as a prop. I don't think he ever played prop for us. I think he was more of a second rower and bench second rower as well, but maybe he played a bit of front row. So I think it's one of his first starts in a while as well. And hopefully John Bateman likes how their junior players play and doesn't complain about them too much, eh?
Sorry, I'm just trying to work out how I can do the screen and people can see our tips without covering your head. Might have to do it that way. Righto, getting into the other games for the weekend. So first up, who do we have? We have the St. George Illawarra Dragons and Knights. I'm trying to. It's hard when we're not in the right spot. Dragons. Rob and I, we've both gone Dragons, as you've gone the Knights.
Yeah, I went the Knights because I just liked what I saw from them against the Panthers on the weekend. That was a really good win by them, and I think they've just got a little bit of momentum from that.
Rob, you're thinking Dragons?
I'm definitely thinking Dragons. I'm actually confident about this one for two reasons. I think St. George's form against Brisbane was really good. I think when they played us, they were very unlucky to beat us, and I thought we played quite well that night. And more importantly, the Knights have only beaten up on two teams that were missing 1,000 players. They beat South Sydney without 9 players. They beat Penrith without all their origin stars. And worse for them, Fletcher Sharp at the moment will be playing 5'8". He had a blinder at fullback the other night. If he was at fullback, it might be a little bit different. Wouldn't be a bad idea to switch Ponga into the halves, I think, this week, because Ponga hasn't been the player that he should be for them. But I think Saints win this one. But again, why would anyone trust us when we've got a combined 1 out of 15 for last week? So whatever we say, people, do the opposite.
Wait, we all got zeros? We didn't tip all the same last week, did we?
I got 1. How come I got 0 there?
I think you've put the same picture up there twice, Josh.
Did I?
Yeah.
I came home strong. I got the last tip right.
Yeah, I've duplicated mine. Yeah. Titans and Storm. I think Rob's gone the Storm. Have you gone the Storm, Rob? We've all gone the Storm, surely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's on the Gold Coast.
Yeah,
Storm, a few backer-uppers for Melbourne on Saturday afternoon. So is any chance Gold Coast? I mean, in this season, who knows?
Well, the Gold Coast have got guys backing up as well, Josh.
True. Yeah, they got
Tino and Beau Fillmore.
Yeah.
Let me sum this one up for you really quick. So Storm coming off a loss at night, their previous game, playing a day game against a team that's lower down the ladder. Where have we seen this script before? Oh yeah, when they lost to the Raiders and then smashed us. And it's an afternoon game as well, I should add. They're a lot better in the afternoon than they are at night.
Good point.
As long as there's no rain on the Goldie, they should cream them.
Moving on. For our game is the next one up there. I've gone Tigers because, fuck it, why not? I got 0 last week. Anyway, as you've gone the Cows, Rob, I assume you've gone Cowboys.
I have. I've got nothing further to say on the matter.
I plead my right to silence. Is that the case for you there, Rob?
Gosh, if ever we needed Latu Fainu back, boy, it was this week. If Latu plays, we win this.
I think off the bye, I'll give us a chance.
I mean, yeah, coming off a bye, we do have a chance. We did need a rest, and we will be really well rested coming into this game. Even though he wasn't playing his best this season, Galvin's a massive out. I just have a little bit more belief in the Cowboys at home, but I would love to see us beat them and move on to bigger and better things next week.
Righto, Manly and the Brisbane Broncos. No Tommy Turbo, I believe. I think he's been ruled out.
Yeah,
so...
he's injured for a week. He's out for a week or two. Don't think it's going to be too
Brisbane,
long this time, they're saying.
Even though it's a brookie, Brisbane for me. Although, again,
I actually can't remember who I tipped, Josh, to be honest. I know that was a tough one for me because they're both struggling, and I don't know if Carrigan and Haas are going to back up for Brisbane, and obviously Turbo's out. Don't know if DCE is going to back up. I don't know.
You tipped Manly.
I did tip Manly? Okay. Yeah, toss of the coin. Don't trust me, guys.
I learnt my mistake about not tipping or tipping against Manly when Tom's out, because I did that earlier in the season and they lost a couple of games without him. So I've learned from my mistake. And this is the first time this matchup has happened at this venue in, I think it's about 10 years. So that shows you just how long Manly have been playing the Broncos as a home game at Suncorp, even before Magic Round became a thing.
Yeah, the Broncos really get kissed on the dick with the draw. Rabbitohs and Waz. I've gone. Rob's gone Waz. I've gone Waz. Az has gone Waz. So up the Waz.
Up the Waz. Yeah, I think they're a bit too tough. We should have beaten South the other week, but I don't think we got a fair go in the first half. I think New Zealand will go okay this week. There won't be much in it because New Zealand aren't a high-scoring team, but I think they've got enough in them to get the job done.
I agree.
Panthers are playing the Parramatta Eels at home at Parramatta Stadium. So I wonder if Penrith Panthers fans are complaining like West Tigers fans do. When we have this same scenario. So, yeah. Do you think the home ground... Go, Rob.
I was just going to say, they've got an excuse, mate. They've won 4 premierships in a row. What's our excuse? They can take a game to Strathfield Park if they want, for all I care. If you win 4 premierships in a row, do what you want.
They're also rebuilding the stadium with the money that was supposed to go to Leichhardt. Or some of the money that was supposed to go to Leichhardt.
Yeah, it's annoying, but who did I tip? I tipped. We've all gone Panthers. Is that right? Let me just check. Rob, have you gone Panthers?
Yeah, but you have to put an asterisk on that, guys, because they've got so many players backing up from Origin. You don't know if they're going to play or not. Parramatta are playing quite well, and they played well without. They had Moses last week, didn't they? Can't remember now. No, they didn't have Moses. They won without Moses, so it'd be a hard game for Penrith to win if they don't get their stars back. But Penrith have actually got a really good draw. If they can get away with this one, they've also got a couple of buys in the next 6 weeks. They have to win this or they're gone. They really are.
They played Parramatta and then us in next week. So if they lose these 2 games, I think that's 9 losses for them. So yeah, from there, season would be extremely hard to recover, almost impossible.
Roosters Raiders is Sunday evening at Allianz Stadium. We've all gone as you've gone Raiders.
Yeah, I've gone the Raiders. I liked what I saw from them in the rain against the Warriors on the weekend. I didn't get to see too much of the game because I was watching my Swans get absolutely pummeled. But they're a really good team this year, and they're proving a lot of doubters wrong. And they don't have as many players backing up as the Roosters might be. So I've just got a little bit more belief in the Raiders to get the job done here.
Rob?
A very tough game, guys. I agree with Aaron. The Raiders are playing so well, but at the same time, I think that was a really taxing game the other night in some wet weather in New Zealand. Obviously, they would have got back to Canberra quite late on a Sunday night. If they even got back on Sunday night, they might have even come back Monday morning. I was impressed with what the Roosters did, and they've obviously got players coming back into that team. It's another toss of the coin job, and obviously keep your eye out on all the games as to who backs up and who doesn't, because I think a lot of people are going to be changing tips as players drop out.
Yeah, I can see myself changing a couple of tips last minute as well.
It doesn't matter for me. I'll probably get them wrong either way. Henson Park on Saturday, 3 o'clock. The Maggies. This will be the Tomaronicas Cup, I think, when these teams play each other. So Henson Park. I've said this on the show before. I think Henson Park is overrated, but yeah, don't at me. Yeah, well, who we got playing the Magpies? So Lowlee's at fullback, Lob City's there, Tape's there, Felity, who's Kurt Falls in the halves. How do I pronounce that? The 5'8's name as?
Our team or theirs?
Ours. Yeah.
Isaac Tuitupo. Oh, sorry, no, Christian Mapapalangi. I was looking at the wrong number there.
We're on the right. Yeah, we're the away team. Talons at 9. Ruben Porter's in the front row. So there's Charlie Murray, who's snuck in to the extended squad this week. He's playing lock there as well. So I'm not sure where Newtown are running on the table, but yeah, hopefully the Maggies won last game out. They were playing the last place Rabbitohs. So the Jersey Flegg boys got a win over in Fiji, 34-18. A lot of the SG Ball boys are coming up playing with the squad now. So hopefully it's they're in the top 8 now, and they're playing the Sharkies. Also at Henson Park at 12:50 on Saturday. So if you go to Henson Park, you can watch the Flegg boys and the Cup boys play.
We've just lost Josh's audio. Have you lost Josh's audio too, Rob?
Yeah, I have, Aaron. And he can obviously hear us by the sounds of it.
Yeah, it sounds like he can hear us.
Can you hear us, Josh?
Can you give us a thumbs up if you can hear us?
No, he can't hear us.
By the way, Rob, while we're waiting for Josh to come back, I've just had a look at the referees. Have you seen who our referees are this week?
No, I haven't.
Get ready for some bad news. We've got Jared Sutton on field, Ashley Klein in the bunker.
Look, straight up, Aaron, I don't think I'm happy with anyone that is our official anyway. So at least we've got a couple of experienced blokes, but yeah, I don't care anymore. I just don't care. I'm over bagging the officials. I expect to be on the wrong side of it every week, and they don't let me down.
We know what Klein has done to us in the bunker at this particular venue only 3 seasons ago.
Yeah, the boys might have to wait for the 3rd or 4th full-time whistle before they celebrate.
Yeah, how many soft whistles are going to be blown? How many soft whistles are going to be blown prior to full-time, eh?
No, exactly. Are you there, Josh? No, you can't get his sound working. No, fair enough.
Well, he's brought up the Stats Man screen, so I might as well.
Give it a go.
I've got a little something, so I kind of wanted to just have a look at our record against the Cowboys. The Cowboys are one of only 2 teams that we have a positive, better than 50-50 record against. From 46 games, we have 24 wins to 22 losses, while the only other team we have a positive record against is the Sharks, who out of 39 games, we have 20 wins, 18 losses, and a draw. Not only that, but this also doesn't include finals, I think. But the Cowboys are the team we have scored the most points against in our history at 1,080 from those 46 games. The team we have played the most games against is the Parramatta Eels. We've only scored 953 points against them, in 50 games. So 127 more points in 4 less games. I mean, there have been a couple of high-scoring ones, including one of our games against them a couple of seasons ago where we put 66 on them, which was quite pleasant. So that might have skewed the stats slightly. But, yeah, what do you think of that? The Cowboys being one of only 2 teams we have a positive record against.
It'd make sense from the games we've played at Leichhardt Oval. I thought you were going to give us a stat, which I think is probably my favourite stat. It's not really a good stat, but the biggest ever turnaround was us beating the Cowboys in 2023 and then beating us about 6 to 8 weeks later. And I didn't want to bring up that game. I don't think that swing will ever be topped. I could be wrong, but I feel like it was about a 120 to 130 point turnaround. You might be able to quickly do some maths on the 2023 ladder, but more importantly, are we going to get Josh Barnett back tonight? Can't hear you, mate.
You might have to leave the room and re-enter, Josh. We'll try to hold down the fort while you're gone. So, look, if you want to do the math on that, so what? It was 66 to 18 at Leichhardt, which is 48 points.
Correct.
And they beat us 74-0. So 48 and 74, 122. So
that's a pretty decent turnaround.
Very.
Just while we're chatting, did Josh never played that little last-minute clip that you put on, did he?
No, he didn't. No.
Okay, well, we have to make sure we finish our show with that, because
I think maybe that's his plan. We can assume. Let's just assume that was his plan to play that extra little clip.
We'll have to remind him when he comes back, because I think that's in 30 seconds. It sums up Phil Gould perfectly. And here he comes.
Once he's stop buffering.
Am I back?
You are back.
You're back. You are back.
I can hear you.
Josh, we just said we'd like you to finish off the show with that 30-second clip of
yes,
Mr. Philip Ronald Gould.
That's a good way to finish up.
Really? Ronald is his middle name?
I think so.
Yeah, well, that's Buzz
that.
Rothfield for years referred to him in his column as Philip Ronald Gould. That was just how he
first time hearing of it, but anyway.
Yeah, no, that was the running thing that he did for years. The gripe that he's had with Gus is like literally since I was in high school. Like I remember reading his columns about being anti-Gus over half my life ago. Before we do play that, just give a shout out to our Patreon members. Hopefully we'll see plenty of them on Saturday night at the Orange Grove Hotel as we cheer on the boys. And special shout out to the Benji tier guys, Will Sinclair, Shane Coet, Robert Rosenberg, aka Riff over there in Miami, Rob Aaron, Chris Cowell, and Gussie Harris. Where's Gussie? Gussie hasn't joined us to the OG yet, has he? Where are you, Gus?
Oh, it's a long way to travel.
It's a long way, isn't it? It is, probably an hour and a half for Gussie. He is way, way out there in the southwest of Sydney. So a big drive, but hopefully Gussie can get there. You can crash at your place or something, Rob.
He said to me that he's going to come and do one of these watch-alongs, and he's actually going to spend the night at the OG. He's going to hire a room.
You can do that.
You can do that.
As we did our mate the other night, that was, giving us advice mid-show on Wednesday nights. At least, look, the microphone cuts out every now and then when we're at home, but at least there's no one yelling out at us, telling us that they don't approve of us. But usually 99% of our audience is good. Occasionally you get a person who's annoyed with us, but be as it may, everyone will be West Tigers focused on Saturday with us, which will be great. Enjoy this little clip as we go out. But boys, anything else to add before we say goodnight to Big Dog?
No, let's just hope we can get back to 50% record Saturday night. I'm not confident, but by the time kickoff happens, we are going to be revved up to the max.
Yep, bring it on.
All right, as always, go the Tigers.
Go the Tigers.
Go the Tigers.
I got a shock when I met him. He's like 6'2", 6'3". I haven't met Lachlan Galvin.
Yeah.
I haven't met Lachlan Galvin.
So
I really haven't.
Why do you not turn up?
Thanks for listening to another episode of the West Tigers Live podcast. You can join us every Wednesday night live at 8:30 p.m. from the Orange Grove Hotel. A big thank you to Orange Grove Hotel for their support, as well as iChoice Home Loans. If you want to hear more from the West Tigers Life podcast, go to westtigers.com.au. That'll be our link tree, and you'll find links to all our social media, and you can sign up at our Patreon at patreon.com/WestLife. Join us next time on West Tigers Life.